Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kaustubha. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to Monday. It's Makeover Monday today. Whatever happened last week, that's over. It's a new week. Start focusing on who you want to be, where you want to go, what you want to consume this week in your eyes, in your ears, in your mouth, in your... What else? Your nose?
Skin?
Your skin is your biggest mouth. Right?
Organ, not mouth.
Organ, not your biggest. Okay, I got that slightly wrong. Good morning. This is our daily study of the Srimad Bhagavatam and so much more.
Let's try to narrow it down a little bit, Raghunath.
Well,
it's a little too much.
Is it too much or is it just perfect?
No, it's sometimes a little too much, but we learned a little bit about moose. What is plural for moose?
Mises.
No, it's not.
Mises.
Is it mooses or is it moose?
I think it's just moose, like deer. You don't say deers.
Or fish.
Look at Kelly Skinner trying to make like moose noises.
She knows about moose.
Okay. I had, just on a positive note, I woke up singing Hare Krishna. Not Hare Krishna. I was singing Madhurastikam in my dream.
No kidding.
Kristen Ryder, who's on the show today randomly, Krishna, was also singing with me in my dream. We were like having a kirtan in my dream. And I had two Krishna dreams last night. And then I was with Prabhupada. And I was worshiping the deities in San Diego, Radha, Giridhari.
Giridhari. Beautiful.
How's that for a Krishna miracle dream?
Hold it. He was standing next to you, and you were
just sort of standing next to me. I was being a pujari.
Did he say anything?
No.
Are you sure?
He was like, "Good job." Like that. That's what I felt like.
He had a look.
Good job. You're doing good there.
Satisfying. That's nice.
He was happy. It was a good dream.
But
nice waking up singing, and I was actually singing Madhurastikam, and then I was going Giridhari, 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 and I woke up like that.
Nice.
Isn't that a great dream?
I dreamt I was talking to Ringo Starr last night, so you beat me.
1 point, Raghunath.
Okay. Dreams.
I want dreams all night to be like that. And I'm starting to write down my dreams. And I'm starting to say little prayers before. Help me remember my dreams.
Oh, that's good.
Okay.
What a nice
Alrighty.
dream.
We've got some interesting things to talk about today.
We're gonna talk about dreams today.
That is a Krishna miracle.
No, it's not.
Because it is. Because I had these dreams. And as soon as I woke up, I texted, "Hey, Mara, I had these incredible dreams last night." And then you got on the show before the show started and say, "Hey, we're going to talk about dreams today." And I said, "That's a Krishna miracle."
Okay, I'll give you that.
That is. Come on.
I'll give you that. All right. Do we have any announcements today, Mara?
We do. We have a Bhakti Recovery Group meeting today at 1 p.m. Radikesh is doing part 4 of his Intro to Vedic Astrology this evening at 6 p.m. for Patreon members.
And the sage groups are filling up. Filling up.
Yep.
Moses, did you sign up for the sage group yet? You're in Tara's. Good for you. That's a good sage
that's
group.
great group.
That's great.
Yeah, you go to wisdomofthesages.com, and then you go to Sage Groups, and some of the groups they'll say closed on them because they're already full.
Hey, don't think you're too busy to join us. I'm looking at the faces here. Some people think, well, I'd like to do it, but I'm a little too busy. You're not.
No,
You
you're
need to
watching
reprioritize.
Netflix, you're
You know
doing
who
other
you are.
things.
You know who you
have
are. I know
time.
who you are. You're not too busy to be in a sage group.
All right.
Give a little bit of time for Krishna. He will give you thousands of times reciprocation back.
You'll make good
I'm going to
friends.
start calling out names, and I want to hear. Henry, are you in a sage group? Are you leading a sage group? Put it on the board. I want to know yes or no.
You're calling people out here.
Calling people out. I'm naming names. Marilyn Perez, are you in a sage group?
She is.
He's like, I am. I swear. I'm signing up right now. Okay. All right.
All right. You ready to get into it? We'll get
Henry's
into it.
looking into it. Yes. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram. Do we have a nugget?
Well, no. Dreams. We talked about dreams a little bit.
Did we? I mean, you didn't know I was going to talk about dreams.
Any case, I don't have anything else. That's all I got. I was trying to come up with some dream poetry. We could have gone to the Edgar Allan Poe. We can if you like.
Nah.
Okay.
No Edgar Allan today. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet. Before he cited the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of my conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan. Unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati utamashloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Vitam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances at their lotus feet.
I got a squirrel for you, Raghunath.
Squirrel me this.
If you were to dream tonight and you could meet in your dream one of four people, who would it be?
Would it be Ringo Starr?
No, Ringo
One
is
of
not
four
even
Beatles?
involved. Lord Narayan, Narayan Rishi, Vyasadeva, or the goddess Saraswati?
Ooh, that's a very good question. And I'm going to have to go with two, Narayan Rishi.
Narayan Rishi, because
Because
she's
they're
so
the
mysterious.
supermost human beings. Like, what does that mean? They remind me of like the Wonder Twins. Activate.
All right.
Who could come up with such whoever came up with the Wonder Twins was like on an acid trip, because it is so unthinkable that they could put their rings together and all of a sudden become a glass of water. It's like, what? Who thinks of this stuff?
Okay.
That was like a genius. H.R. Puffin stuff.
One of them
Come
could
on.
become like any shape, and one of them
They could become anything. Become a
No,
glass.
I think one of them could become like their flexibility was in a different realms, I think.
Europeans have no clue what they missed out on growing up with the Wonder Twins.
All right. So you would go with
Okay.
Narayan Rishi.
I'd go
Mara?
with who would you go with?
I was going to go with Narayan Rishi too.
I really don't know. I'm tempted to say Vyasadeva.
You know what? Vyasadeva was number 2 for me.
Okay, because
'Cause
I
I would
think
love to-
it's
you know what?
too
I would just love
proud
to
to say
talk to-
Lord Narayan.
I would love
you know,
to talk to him. No,
Yeah.
I don't feel qualified, but the devotees, I feel qualified. You can't just approach Lord Narayan. You got to
No,
approach the devotees.
let me go to Vyasadeva.
Go to Vyasadeva. I would love to sit in his cave with him and just chat. What was it like? What was all these things like? Tell me about the just like a
kind of squirrel with
conversation.
him.
No, just like a conversation with Vyasadeva would be so special.
It would be. Now, what about if Mother Saraswati, she just kind of floated in on a
The
swan?
thing about Saraswati is, I feel like Saraswati, I'd have to petition her for more knowledge. I feel like in this lifetime, my cup is not full. Matter of fact, I feel like the cup is slightly very empty, And I was like, I'd be like, Saraswati, come on, what did I do that I'm not so knowledgeable? I have a little like resentment. And also it's like musical. It's like I
don't know.
I was the only professional musician who's completely unmusical. And
Well,
has
she
no
might
talent.
say, look, you've got no
Let's see.
musical talent, and still I made you the star of a big band. So what are you complaining about?
Well, she could say, well, you've created, she might like reflect that perhaps I've created some sin in my life, in my previous life. And for that, you'll be able to put out records in Kali Yuga where only Kali Yuga brains can appreciate them.
Well, that's a blessing too.
Yeah, I guess it is. But yes, I'd say Narayana Rishi. I was like, tell me about your powers. Why are you guys the supermost human beings?
Are you one person or two people?
Are you two? Well, I think they're two.
Two and one.
Yeah. Anyway, a lot of interesting stuff here in the Vedic world.
But today we're going to hear about dreams.
Okay.
And Narada is going to reveal to the king about dreams. Ready? Let's go back to text 61, Canto 4, chapter 29.
Dream, 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 dream. Everly Brothers.
Yes.
When I want you.
Oh, no.
In my arms when I want you, and all your charms whenever I want you. All I have to do is dream. Okay, Prabhu.
Please move on to the verse.
Mara, tell us where we are, please.
Canto 4, chapter 29, text 61.
Canto 4, chapter 29. 61?
Yep.
61. Thank you. The living entity while dreaming. We're just talking about that. Gives up the actual living body. While dreaming, gives up the actual living body. Interesting, huh? Mm-hmm. Through the activities of his mind and intelligence, he acts in another body. Either as a god or a dog. I've never dreamt I was a dog. Or a god, for that matter. But I understand. We dream ourselves into other situations. Mm-hmm. After giving up this gross body, the living entity enters either an animal body or a demigod's body on this planet or on another planet. It's amazing. He can actually go to another planet. Mm-hmm. He thus enjoys the results of the actions of his past life.
Okay. So
there you go, my friend. Imagine going to another earthly planet. That's like a parallel Earth where perhaps they haven't come up with electric cars, but everyone's driving something else, some other type of energy car. That runs on wood, a wood-driven car. There's other planets
possibilities
like
are
Earth.
unlimited.
There's millions of planets like the Earth planet. That's interesting. There's millions of other planets like the Earth planet. You could take birth on that one. You could have a whole parallel life.
Yeah, well, what Narada is telling the king here is he's saying, just think about it. You kind of leave your body every night when you dream, and you go into and you enter some other circumstance. So why should it be so hard for you? To think that in one sense, this life is somewhat dreamlike. We're moving around in a certain body for a short period of time, and then we move on. Mm-hmm. Right? Now let's read the first paragraph of this commentary, or some of this. There's some interesting, important stuff here, I think.
61's commentary?
Yeah.
By the way, a little backstory is, if you're new to all this stuff, they say that there's 3 planetary systems. There's planets like Earth, where there's pain and pleasure. There's higher planets, where you don't have a gross body made of earth and water. Is that correct? Or maybe you do.
It's a more subtle body, but you have a body.
So wait, look. And then there's lower planets. Well, let me ask you a question.
I once had a dream I met someone from the higher planets, Raghunath.
Don't squirrel me out here. I'm talking about Vedic philosophy here.
Okay, well, we're only going to talk about your dreams.
Let me be the loose cannon. 2 loose cannons, the whole thing falls apart.
All right, go ahead. But I did meet someone from a higher planet once in one of my dreams.
Well, that could be a person. Okay, that could be like an astral projection, perhaps. But let me share this. We have seen, or people have attested to UFOs, higher, whatever, aliens coming to this planet.
Where are you going?
Are they from you? What's your? I like to hear your speculation. Are they from other earthly planets? Are they from lower planets?
I have
if they're
no
from
idea.
The higher planets, they must have subtle bodies and we can't perceive them.
They may be here right now, and we can't
the
perceive
higher beings could be here right now.
Yeah. So then you're saying that if it's a alien that we can see, they're probably not from that high up.
Yeah, they're probably from either other Earth planets that are more sophisticated or lower planets, and they're trying to do harm, perhaps, or
Probe,
probe
pull you over, pull you up into their spaceship. Okay, let's get back to this
stuff's
commentary.
real, man.
Let's get back to this commentary.
Okay. Although the root of distress and happiness is in the mind, intelligence, and ego.
The subtle body.
Although the root of distress and happiness is in the mind, intelligence, and ego. Oh, I get it.
That's
Those
all.
things are the subtle
Those
body, yes.
comprise the subtle body.
That's the root of distress. Isn't that interesting?
The root is the mind.
The root is, well, the mind, it culminates all of those things in one sense. Some scholars look at it like that.
That's right. When I say mind here, I mean including all three of those. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, that's the root of our pain here. Isn't it weird because you think like, well, ego's not distressful. It's completely distressful. It's the reason why we're like competing with people and trying to get to I'm striving for perfectionism, but I'm riddled with shame. And it's the reason why there's so much pain in this world. It's got nothing to do with your twisted ankle, your stuffy nose, or your, bronchitis. It's got to do with the subtle body.
Your
That
false
is what's
conception of
driving us
yourself.
crazy. Well, especially because you can have everything. And we see this in America. We have so much stuff. How much more storage units do we need to store our crapola?
There's a book.
And we're still sad.
There's a book it's like a book of photography. This photographer went around and he photographed different families from around the world in front of their home with all of their stuff in their home, sitting in front of their home.
So you've got to take all their stuff out?
Yeah. They had to take everything they own, put it in front of their house, and then take a photograph of them in front of the house with all the stuff. It was interesting. Right?
That is very interesting.
Yeah. See how people live in different parts of the world.
Right. We are collectors of stuff.
Yeah. Okay, but let's go on with this commentary here.
And the bigger house you get, the more stuff you collect.
Yeah, likely.
Right? You can't collect stuff. You live in an 850
I got a bunch of books.
It's
like a lot of books.
Yeah, but they're flat. They go against the wall.
Yeah.
Nothing. You have no extra stuff. There's no room for extra stuff.
There's not too much. Not room for too much.
I like that.
But most people that have these apartments still, they stuff them full of stuff.
Yeah, I know. I've seen those, like how to make space.
Most of New York apartments are like that. You go in, it's like, man, like you just put too much stuff in here.
Mara's house is like yours. Have you been to Mara's house?
No, I never have.
No stuff. Like,
but
does anybody
Raghunath,
live
we've
here?
read half a sentence so far. Let's get into this commentary, okay?
Oh, okay. Well, this is also important stuff we're talking about. Okay. Of the root of distress and happiness is in the mind, intelligence, and ego. A gross body is still required as an instrument of enjoyment.
These are our instruments for enjoyment, right? We've got the computer, which is the mind, and then we got this body that we operate through the computer of the mind.
On a side squirrel. I don't want to go here, but it's important information.
You don't have to.
This is what a ghost is.
You really don't have to.
Ghost is the subtle body. And they try to.
Prabhupada's going to talk about that in maybe even in this commentary, but in.
All right, I'm going to keep going with this. A subtle body that has no gross body. That's what we would call on this planet.
Oh, it's coming right up. It's right here.
Ghost.
It's right here. You're thinking like Prabhupada.
Christian, I'm thinking like Prabhupada. The gross body may change, but the subtle body continues to act. It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, just
Unless
like
what other religion explains this stuff?
Nobody gets into it like this.
No one gets into ghosts. They talk about ghosts in the Bible, like Christ expelling the spirits.
More scientific breakdown. Let's keep going, Raghunath.
One becomes a ghost when the subtle body acts without the help of the instrumental gross body.
No, hold it. You skipped a sentence. Start with the gross body may change.
I only do odd numbers. 1, 3, okay. 5. I skip. Unless the living entities get another gross body, he will have to continue in a subtle body or a ghostly body. Ghostly sounds more hocus pocus, but a subtle body. One becomes a ghost when the subtle body acts without the help of the instrumental body.
Gross body.
Gross body, I'm sorry. As stated in this verse, Sayanam imam utstrya svasantam. The gross
Sure,
body
something.
may lie on a bed and rest. And even though the machinery of the gross body is working, the living entity may leave, go into a dream, and return to the gross body. So do you think we're going to a place? I've never heard this quite well described. Do we go to a place,
Well, Raghunath, are we in a place right now? Let me see.
or are we not? Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, it's
Is
kind
this
of
a
what I'm
place?
saying. Are we
Have
in a
we
place right
fabricated this
now?
place? Are you not real?
Like if you and I were plugged into the same virtual reality sitting in your living room,
Are we there?
but in the virtual reality, we're in another place. Like, where are we?
And we just happen to be plugged in together.
See?
And we're
Think
like,
about
let's
it.
hang out together. It's not even real.
See?
It's getting weird.
Okay, continue.
All right. The conclusion.
Are you sure?
When he
that's where we
returns
are?
to the body, he forgets his dream. Similarly, when the living entity takes another gross body, he forgets the present gross body.
Right.
100% get this. The conclusion is that the subtle body, mind, intelligence, and ego creates an atmosphere with desires and ambitions that the living entity enjoys in the subtle body. Actually, the living entity is in the subtle body, even though the gross body apparently changes, and even though inhabits the gross
even
body
though-
on various planets.
Okay.
Can I read that? Actually, I'm going to read that. Actually, the living entity is in the subtle body, even though the gross body apparently changes, and even though he inhabits the. It's almost like you're in a suit of clothing, and your suit of clothing is in a car. So you're not the gross body. You're not even the subtle body, but you walk out of the car with your clothes still on, and then you enter another car, so to speak. So the living entity
there's
is
more than
carrying
one
that-
body.
Yeah, there's more than one body. I was giving this talk to a bunch of students once in India, and
Students.
yes, I have some students.
Okay. I thought you meant like it's some kind of more formal
Students.
classroom or something like that.
So it is formal. Formal.
Okay.
Kaustubha. It is formal. I am a teacher,
Yes. Okay.
a pontificator, an educator of sorts.
All right. What were you teaching? What were you pontificating?
I was teaching
on?
about subtle bodies, and I was saying how that the subtle body wants to enjoy, but it needs a gross body, and it oftentimes will find tamasic bodies
Oh, here we go.
to enter into. And that's what we would call someone who's possessed. And so it was a long Raghunath thing on ghosts and
Yeah.
subtle bodies and reincarnation, and the psychiatrist was in the class. She raised her hand and she said, I 100% believe in this, because she goes, we help so many people with psychiatry and talk therapy and help them develop a functional life when their life is out of balance, and just being a good therapist and being a good listener. But there's a certain demographic that we cannot help, and we just drug them because they're going to hurt themselves or hurt somebody else, and we don't know what to do. But it's as if they have multiple beings living in them.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting when you approach maybe therapy from this vantage point. Do I have some subtle entity in me causing me pain, causing me sickness?
You see that, of course, skeptics and people, will say, will kind of blow this kind of
Why
stuff
not?
off.
How about maybe?
But, well, I was going to say, if you go to texts like Chaitanya Charitamrita, for instance, like when they saw Sri Chaitanya like experiencing his devotional ecstasies, and it seems like there's something wrong with him.
He's got
Right.
epilepsy, or he's having seizures.
He's got a ghost. We got to do some kind of what do they call it when you
exorcism
or something like that? Yeah, or, yeah. They knew that was a possibility.
Well, here's the interesting thing about our information filter. Once you talk about like a subtle body, it's like we won't even accept that. It's so dogmatic in the way we even think about health.
Are we going to be
well-being.
objective or not? Right? Like,
if you want to be objective, if you want to like follow the science, so to speak, how do you know there isn't science outside of your realm of understanding?
Okay. Right. So let's talk about it just a little bit more in like technical language, right? What so far what we're reading about here is it's saying that that consciousness is something that's irreducible. We are the spark of spiritual energy. That's who we are, right? We are by nature invested with awareness, with consciousness. We inhabit 2 layers of body, right? We inhabit a mind, which is like a computer, and that is situated within a gross or physical, more, grossly physical, tangible body, which is what we call our body, right? And they say within that mind, there are 3 different. If the mind is a computer, then it has its hard drive, which is the subconscious mind, where all of our memories are stored. And the dreams, the verses that follow this are going to talk about how those stored, that the images that are stored in the subconscious mind rise in dreams, and they take on different forms, right? But so we have the hard drive of the subconscious mind, and then there are 3 apps functioning on this computer, the mind.
I like where you're going with this.
Which
the
we can,
apps.
Applications, right? There's what we call the manas, or here being translated as mind. It's a little. I'm talking about the greater mind, including all 3. But there's the manas, which is the impulsive part of the mind, the decision-making, purely programmed part of the mind. There's the intellect, the intelligence, which is the more rational, where reasoning takes place. And then there's the ego, which has to do with the sense of identity. So these 3 apps are operating on, what are they called? The random access memory, right? That stuff that comes to the top.
That's
of
what
the computer.
RAM means?
Yeah, random access
memory. Man,
random
I
access
learned
memory
that right now.
Right. It means, random access memory is when the computer's dealing with the stuff that's rising to the top, not the stuff that's stored on the hard drive that's not being accessed, but random access memory. It's the memory. It means it's that realm in which it's the stuff that you're right on your screen that you're dealing with, right?
I like you. You're good at explaining complicated things.
Well, this now listen to this, Raghunath. Okay, so it's saying that we have these 3, right? And we're giving this as facility to enjoy within basically within a computerized realm.
A dream.
Right? Yeah, within a dream world, in a sense. We're given these 3. And it's saying that when the body dies, when the external body dies, you take that computer with you. Just like you're saying, it's almost like you're holding a computer in one car, and then you get into another car and you bring your computer with you.
Sure.
Right? The car fell apart. It's no good anymore. I get out with my computer. I get into another car.
Right.
But when you go from that one car to the next car, it's almost like someone takes your computer, and
like unplugs you from iCloud.
Yeah.
Like I've got a couple like pictures on here still, but
it's something like that. Yeah, you're not going with all of it, or at least if maybe you had certain stuff.
I lost my phone at Govardhan. It's like I had a few numbers in there, but lost all my photos, and they had
or they took it off of your desktop and they buried it in the iCloud. A lot of stuff, so it may still be there, but like you don't even know how to access it, right?
I'd like to bring up another point here, which is really good. Kaustubha is giving this incredible analogy of the driver, the soul, and the mind, the ego, the intelligence, and how it's traveling with the soul. And some yogis might say, well, where do the koshas come in? So this is like we study the koshas, and that's another vantage point of how to look at the soul and the bodies. And it's not like either one are opposing each other. They actually can work together. It's just different vantage points of studying the same thing. For example, if you study, you could use an analogy of I'm living in my house, and there's the outside of the house, right? The anamoya kosh, and then there's the inner layer of the house, and then there's the plumbing and the heating, and then there's the electric layer of the house, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're all other layers of the external body and a way to see the soul, like that.
My wife told me that this is a total squirrel.
You are squirrel master today.
This is a total. No, I like where you're going, but she was just telling me that she saw something on BBC. She likes to. She gets her news from the BBC.
Does she?
Yeah, and she said that in some house that was like, how old was it? How old was the house?
Oh,
it was like from the 16th century. There's like someone.
Treasure?
It was there. Someone had a home from the 16th century, and they started redoing the floors.
Oh, what did they find?
And when they pulled
This
up
is like
the,
my dream come true.
when they pulled up the floor, they found a bottle with a note in it.
Ooh.
Yeah. And they're like, oh wow, and like the person that discovered it waited for their spouse to come back, like we'll open it up together, and then they couldn't get the note out of the bottle, so they broke the bottle, and like all like the archaeologists are like, no, what are you doing? And then they got the note, and more or less the note just said something like,
Don't break
hi,
the bottle.
my name is Nigel, and I built this floor back in 15 whatever, and hello. Basically, that's what it was.
That's it, huh?
Yeah, but okay, they're different layers, they're different levels.
Okay, that was a bona
Pure
fide
squirrel.
squirrel. My friend.
Yeah, it was. I thought you would like it
Wow. I heard there was like a robbery of a German museum where they got like all this like Viking gold. Just thought I'd share that.
though. Okay.
You know how long I turbo scenarioed that? I was like, I wonder if it's easy to break into museums.
Okay, Raghunath.
All right, let's go to.
You were making your point about the koshas.
Okay, did you like that? It's another way of. It's another vantage point.
Just like
of
you can
looking at the
examine a
covers.
house in different ways,
Yeah.
you could examine our bodily circumstances in different
Yes.
ways. Yeah.
And so
Okay.
yes, and so some yogi philosophers will put it one way, and some yogi philosophers will put it another way. They're both in union with each other. They're just at different vantage points of seeing the same thing.
Right. Okay.
Alrighty,
Different analyses.
different analyses. Thank you.
Analysis.
The conclusion is that the subtle body, mind, intelligence, and ego creates an atmosphere with desires and ambitions that the living entity enjoys in the subtle body.
Yeah, you go into the next body, you take those desires with you.
Isn't that interesting? You're
You see-
taking on your desires, your talents, your shortcomings. You take it all with you.
Yeah,
That's why you can't escape it with suicide. It's still
No.
part of your subtle body.
That's
You've
right.
got to work on yourself.
That's right.
That's a great message.
Evolve or repeat.
Or repeat. That's, yeah.
I was thinking that it's just such a crucial thing to keep in mind. Okay, is that the mana, so the impulsive part of the mind, what it means when I say impulsive, it's when I say purely programmed. What I mean is there's an aspect of our mind that there's no reasoning taking place. It's just responding automatically, like you might program a computer to respond automatically to something, right? You with me, Raghunath?
Well, yeah.
You're right. And I've used this analogy many times in the past, but I'll just quickly bring it up again. If we had a computer and we connected a camera to it, that camera would be essentially the eyes, right? That's the gross body. The software is like the subtle body, right?
Yeah.
And if we connected a speaker to the computer, that's like the voice. So now you have a mind, you have eyes, and you have a voice. And you could program the computer that when you flash a red light in front of that camera, that the computer responds automatically, right? It's not going to reason or anything. It's going to say, I like red, And just as easy, you could program the computer to respond differently. I don't like red.
Right.
So it's responding without reason. It's not there's not some other part of the computer that's like getting involved, that's analyzing the value of red as compared to other colors or anything like that. It's just program. I like red. I like red.
And who does the programming? We do by our choices.
It comes in through the senses, right?
We have a
right?
little
What we
bit of free
expose
will.
ourselves
We have a
to.
lot of karma. We have a lot of karma and a little bit of free will.
Mm.
And in that free will, like me and Moses started running every day. Running.
Look at you
running.
guys.
You know what
Okay.
happens when you run? You want to run more,
Oh.
right? You want to start you eat healthy. You want to eat healthier. And it's another interesting thing about running is like you don't want to eat so much.
Okay.
It's just one of these things. It snowballs to another choice and another choice. And our whole karmic body, gross body, is just a series of choices we're making that's changing our body in this lifetime and the next lifetime, for today, for tomorrow, and for next lifetime.
Okay.
And it's snowballing. And so that's why our transformation starts with one good choice.
Well, yeah. Well,
And
see,
it leads you to a chamber
yeah,
that has many
chamber.
doors
Oh,
to other good choices.
all right.
Hmm?
Yeah. So what you're saying, and this is the import, I think, is that if there's a part of my mind that is programmed to respond to stimulus automatically, it's programmed with desire. I like this. I don't like that. I want this. I don't want that. We are complete slaves if we don't become consciously active in how that part of the mind gets programmed.
Exactly. And sometimes to make the healthier choice is hard. It's like the rocket taking off. It needs a little extra kick in the butt, right?
Yeah.
So and to make the choice of sloth and addiction, which why these phones are so damn addictive, it's an easier choice. Like I'm trying to write my book and it's easier just to check Instagram and check out instead of like working hard and focusing on what I want to say. I want to like zone out somewhere else. Instead of doing important things, I want to go to what's easy so I can forget. And so, yeah, be careful of addiction, or because the converse of what I was saying is true. Easy. You make one bad choice, it leads you to multiple other bad choices, enters you into a real dark chamber. And then that snowballs the other way.
Right.
We need good people in our life. We need some good choices in our life.
The Bhagavad Gita states that the mind can be one's best friend or one's worst enemy.
Been
Right.
to both of those places.
Okay.
Been to both of those. I've been
So-
to the North Pole and the South Pole.
Okay. So whether it's our best friend when the mind becomes programmed with desires for that which leads to our full freedom, right? To divine love.
Yeah.
And the mind becomes the enemy when it becomes programmed with desires that are leading us into confusion, into darkness, into materialism, into deeper and deeper levels of illusion.
Sure.
And so we do have some ability to program it, right? And the fact is, it's just the way that you program it. You just have to kind of repeat something a few times, and the mind starts to catch on to that programming, right?
Yeah.
It starts to say, okay, I'm in that pattern now. I'm locked into that. Okay, just like you're saying, you start to run. Maybe the first day you're like, oh God, this sucks. It's nothing but misery. And the second day, oh yeah, just miserable. But by the third day, you're like, okay, I'm kind of like
I
it.
can do
And,
this. I
and
can
then
do
you're like,
this.
I gotta go running. I'm into running. And
Yeah.
waking up early. The foods that you eat. Even like foods. It's amazing, right? Like bitter food. Like
What?
it's bitter food it plays an important role in the diet. Right, it can be very healthy.
Yes.
The liver is like this incredibly important part of the body, and bitter food it has a lot to do with purifying the liver.
Sure.
In Ayurveda, practically like all our problems are due to like this liver being overheated.
Mhm.
And the way to counter it is bitterness. Neem and bitter melon and these different things. But when we taste them, we're like, oh God, this is like unbearable. It's not worth it. But you start to do it a little bit, and it starts to get easier. You know. The mind, at first, the mind is totally rebelling. We think it's the tongue rebelling, but there's a relationship between the tongue and the mind and how the mind is responding to the tongue, right?
Sure.
And so you can reprogram, and then you can even develop acquired taste, right?
Acquired taste.
By like repeatedly exposing your body and your mind to something, the
Right.
mind begins to adjust to and say, this is okay.
This is the new normal. And we do that in the converse as well. I give you some whiskey, you
Exactly.
take a sip, you're like, oh, gross.
Yeah.
Try it
Keep
again.
doing it. Oh, the
Number
scotch
7
is really
you're like,
delicious.
oh, this is a good whiskey.
Yeah.
I like this one. This is much better than the other one you gave me. You know what I
Right.
mean? And we become connoisseurs of the mode of passion
Connoisseurs.
and ignorance.
There was an
Isn't that
experiment.
interesting?
I'm gonna
That's what
tell
we
you
are in the West. We're connoisseurs of passion and ignorance.
I'm going to tell you something that's going to blow your mind, Raghunath.
Hit me.
I don't know if I've told you this before, but it's probably been long enough so that it'll still blow your mind.
Okay.
There's an experiment done in England back, I don't know exactly when it's done, something like in the 30s or the 40s or something like that.
Yes.
And what they did was they created this pair of glasses that was connected to mirrors, right?
Glasses connected to mirrors.
Yeah, that you put on the glasses, but it has these mirrors connected to it, so that made everything that you see upside down.
Oh, that's screwy.
Okay. And so you put on the glasses, everything you see is upside down. And they, you're with me? You get it?
Yeah.
So now what they did was they kind of locked a person into this, right? so they had to keep it on for an extended
Who
period
would
of time.
volunteer for this experience?
You probably would. I could see you
I
going
would
for
not,
it.
man.
Okay, I would not. So
Headaches.
this is what happened to the person that's wearing the glasses, right? The first day they're walking around completely like
Lost.
helpless. Yeah, it's like everything they're doing is like totally screwed up.
Dropping a glass of water, or
Yeah,
tripping.
you try to pour a glass of water, you know, like to pour a glass of water would have to be like
Right.
totally backward. So, you know, so they're spilling things, they're knocking things over, they can't even function. Now, a day later, they're beginning to adjust. Like, okay, I'm learning how to move. I'm learning
Right.
how to get along in this upside down world. But like the third day, or after a certain more time, something very interesting happened, Raghunath.
It becomes normal.
It becomes normal. When I say it becomes normal, what I mean is they started seeing right side up through the glasses. You with me?
Okay.
In other words,
Interesting.
after a certain amount of
But
time,
what's
they
the
started
point?
to adjust to the
Interesting, what's
upside down
point? So
world.
I get it. It's incredible.
The mind can completely adjust,
Okay.
right? Like the mind
what's
is
the
a
point?
very
Now what's the point?
malleable. The mind is a very the mind.
Where are we going?
The mind is a very malleable instrument.
Okay. Yes.
Right, and it can. We are slaves to the mind, and we think this is just the way the world is. No, we can change the mind. We can control the mind. We can reprogram the mind. That's what yogis are doing, right?
Yeah.
Yogis are reprogramming their minds.
With positive habits.
Yeah, positive. Yeah, and then you
That's
get
what it
positive,
is. It's
and then
all
you get
positive
positive
habits.
desires. This is the point. Then you get positive desires.
Yes. I like this.
And when your desires are nothing but spiritual, you depart the material realm and you enter the spiritual. That's the idea
like
behind
it.
this, right?
You know, I was walking with Mara in Trader Joe's yesterday.
Okay.
Mara went to Trader Joe's and
We went down that aisle where they have all the chocolatey
well, no,
goodies.
it's all like Christmas goodies. Christmas goodies. I was
Right.
like, oh, goody. And all they are impressions on
Peppermint,
my psyche from
chocolate
childhood.
bark.
All different types of goodies. And it was just like one goodie. I was like, I want that goodie. I want that goodie. I want that goodie. And it was just like, I don't even like these goodies. They don't make me feel good. There's a time in a young man's life or young woman's life, young person's life where they
I'm with you.
realize like junk food makes me feel horrible.
Yeah.
But there at one time there's like a romance between Hostess cupcakes, Twinkies, potato chip, and where you romance it. And then you have to live in that. But if you become conscious, and I told my kids, like teenagers too, you're at a certain age, I just want you to understand that there's a pain that you're going to get immediately from this, and note that pain and connect those two things together. Otherwise we create these impressions in the mind that we are enjoying things that are debilitating to us.
It's true.
Recreate
I tell you,
the samskara.
I saw something that blew my mind.
Write that down, Mara. Recreate the samskara.
Okay. Right. I saw something that blew my mind. It was a couple years ago,
Tell me.
Well, you're probably not even aware, but like there's a very popular like genre of music called trap. Right? Are you familiar? Are you aware?
Not at all. How are you? How are you so familiar with this stuff?
It's just
why
like
are-
the latest. I don't know latest. It's probably there's something newer than that now, but it's like, a modern twist of hip hop, right?
Trap.
Yeah, trap. Like
I'm
from
s-
rap
am I
it goes
just
to
like
trap.
an old guy?
You
I've
are.
become like an old
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah. I live in the city, you live in the country, so I'm still aware.
Okay, tell me.
But you must notice that when you hear trap nowadays, it's kind of like they're kind of just like, it's like, are you on morphine or something like that? It's just like, it's just like,
That's
it's
'cause you're not a
really lazy.
connoisseur of trap.
It's
It's
really,
like if you don't listen to classical music, you'd be like, that all sounds the same.
well, there's
if
a
you start
difference in the
listening-
quality though, Raghunath. There is a difference in the quality. Like even you could analyze it, like you could analyze the
Like
rap or trap of now and compare it to like what was going on, say like in the
Sugar
90s.
Hill Gang.
Yeah, or in the 70s, and you could like analyze like the rhyme schemes,
Right.
and how they change and the varieties in them and so on. So like it's boiling down to like some really just like simplistic Tamasic level of communication.
We've
And
become fine connoisseurs.
It's
of
almost
Kama
like
Surajas.
it's almost like trying to relish like
Write that down, Mara. Go ahead.
Like, in other words, generally, like, there's a change in the rhyme scheme, and you shift it and you change energy. And this kind of, it's almost like monotony. Like, let's
Kaustubha,
just,
pontificating on rap.
yeah, like, let's just, it's just like monotony, like blah, 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 blah.
Okay,
blah,
I
blah,
think
blah.
I have
And
heard
it's,
trap.
and it's like, yeah, yeah. And it's like, are you going to stop this? No, they're going to keep going, blah, 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 blah. It's like, how did our, any case.
How did
So-
like we go from like Mozart to this?
Yeah. And so it's like, I'm saying this stuff is not healthy. This stuff is like, this is
Now
junk
you're
food
my
for the
mom.
mind, right? This is junk food for the mind.
Right.
This
It
is
is.
like cotton candy. And you see, like, even like it got reflected in the style of this music, like the colors, like they got into these like kind of pastel-y cotton candy kind of colors.
Colors.
Like, you ever see this guy 69? He's got like 69 tattooed all over his face and everything
No,
like this.
I haven't.
He's like this ridiculous trap.
Am I like a hermit?
Yeah, the guy's huge. It's like, this is what people are listening to now, right? It's like people buy these, they download this. They don't actually buy these records. They download this
Need to
stuff,
buy it.
right?
Gotta
Yeah,
download.
and they it's like they are almost dressed like they came out of a candy store, right? Like the color, like his teeth are all like different.
Color.
He's got different kind of like candy like kind of things in his hair. It's like the whole thing just came out of a candy shop. And then I was walking
sorta
down
like
14th
that,
Street.
sorta like that.
I was walking down 14th Street and I saw that they had this restaurant. I don't know what you want to call it.
Wait, a trap restaurant?
Yeah, it was like they were playing trap in there, and it was aimed at like a trap audience, and they're selling like cotton candy in
Is this
there.
trap?
They're sitting in there
They have their own
eating
restaurants.
cotton candy,
They've
you know,
got
with
their
their
own
hair
dentistry?
dyed like cotton candy colors, listening to this cotton candy music. It's just like the whole thing is junk, like, and it's just programming the mind. It's just like, it's so. Anyway, I was just
That was a squirrel and a
fascinated by it.
half, my friend.
No, well, it's
but
related to what we're talking about, Raghunath. It's like
what? Tell
we're
me.
eating junk food, and we're getting like, and we're supposed to grow up and say, you know what, I don't like cotton candy anymore. This stuff's
Right.
got no substance.
And the interesting thing is newer generations are being born into this as normal. So this is what you learn as just like we thought hardcore was normal music. Hardcore is so tame compared to trap.
Yeah. You see, okay, now we're getting it over here from was a vegan trucker that just said it's Skittle teeth. It's like Skittles. If like I thought like Skittles was like good food, like say you came over to my house right now for dinner, and you say, "Oh, hey, glad to be here. What you serving?" And I've just put Skittles on your plate. It's like I got a problem, right? It's like I haven't understood what's healthy. I haven't understood what's good. My mind's become programmed to just like in ways that are like totally unhealthy, and it's just become attracted by these like pastel colors.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's where we're at, Raghunath. So we got to retrain the mind.
Yeah.
We're becoming slaves. I'm watching. I see people listening to this music. I'm saying, you are a slave. It's like you're locked into some of this. Just now, of course, we were listening to hardcore.
You're listening to hardcore. We did okay.
But at least hardcore had some genuine emotion, and like it had something. It was
I
like
don't
some
know.
kind.
Maybe if we were fans, because
No.
now we're sounding like a
I've
bunch
been
of old
examining it,
parents.
Raghunath. It's a Tomasic.
Yeah, my parents examined hardcore too, Kaustubha.
But they didn't have the
like
whole
it, they didn't
yogic thing behind them.
Okay.
All right, let's keep going with this
continue
commentary.
on.
Yeah.
You are Squirrel Meister.
No,
Meister
this
Squirrel
was
today.
relevant. Now let's continue. Actually, the living entity.
He starts reading again to make up for his squirrelness.
Hit it.
Actually, the living entity is in the subtle body, even though the gross body apparently changes, and even though he inhabits the gross body on various planets.
Mhm.
All the activities performed by the living entity in the subtle body are called illusory because they are not permanent. Liberation means getting out of the clutches of the subtle body.
Right there.
Liberation from the gross body simply involves the transmigration of the soul from one gross body to another.
Therefore, as you mentioned, suicide isn't the answer. You haven't liberated yourself. You're still bound because you're taking the mind with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
When the mind is educated in Krishna consciousness or higher consciousness, right? For those people who are freaked out by the word Krishna consciousness, higher consciousness, in the mode of goodness, one is transferred either to the upper heavenly planets or the spiritual realm, the Vaikuntha planets. So interesting, huh? Stuff's real. One therefore has to change his conscious This by
Mm.
cultivating knowledge
Mm.
received from Vedic instructions
Reprogramming.
from the Supreme Personality of Godhead through disciplic succession. If we train the subtle body in this life by always thinking about Krishna, we will transfer to Krishna Loka. Yay.
After leaving the
After
gross.
leaving the gross body.
Done. Okay. Right there,
This
right?
is confirmed by the personality of God himself.
Janma karma chame divyam.
Yeah, I don't want this body again.
Does Karuna know that verse? Maybe we end it with does Karuna know
Yamma
that?
karma chame divyam.
She here?
Evam yobi
I haven't heard.
titaha.
Hey, dude,
Yakvadeham.
you're stealing it, right? You're stealing it.
Oh, she knows this?
I wouldn't be surprised, but I
You
don't
unmute
see
her?
her.
Yeah, I don't know that she's here.
Where's
Oh, she does
Karuna?
know it.
Okay, let's get her on.
Let's get her on. Karuna,
How you doing,
9 years,
Karuna?
only 9 years old.
Where is she? You got it, Mary?
I asked her to unmute, but I don't know. It's her mom. I don't know if Karuna's there today. I know her mom was on
Oh,
earlier.
okay.
Yeah, I don't want this gross body again. Have you seen this app everyone's using, Lenza? Where
Yeah, it's become very popular. I see
I,
it.
I know this. I'm not. I haven't left my
Okay.
hermit cage.
Yeah.
But it's sort of like I had one of those days this morning. Ever have one of these days, Kaustubha? Maybe you don't.
What,
I looked
what
in the
kind of day?
mirror. I looked in the mirror this morning. I was like, I don't want this face. I don't want this, anymore. I don't want this face. And there's
okay.
no amount of cream. There's no suntan. There's no like eyebrow manicure I can get to fix what I got going on here. I had that look today.
But you can deal with it though, right? Like I deal with it.
Well, I deal with it because what am I gonna do? Cut my head off?
No, but like
This is the face.
emotionally. No, I
This is
mean
what I got.
emotionally. Like
Well,
emotionally,
it
you
is.
can
I
deal
just
with.
don't like. It's just like it's one of those days.
No,
you're not
what I
like-
noticed recently about, I said, like, I looked at myself. I said, my one eye is like just kind of like drooping down now. Like, you know, like something weird's going on with my eye. You know, probably everybody else has been
I
noticing it
never
all
wanted
along.
to tell you that, Kaustubha, but
You
you
see?
got a drooping eye.
I know, I do. I just
It's
like
not getting any better. It's not like okay.
No,
you
it's
go to the
it's
doctor,
only
like,
going to get
yep,
worse.
One eye droops.
It's only going to get worse.
It's only going to get
And you just
really
gotta say,
lower
okay,
than
you
the
know.
other one, Kaustubha.
Yeah, yeah.
It
It's the way
sucks.
it is.
There's no way out. There's no
It's not
amount
so
of
bad, though. No, it's-
facial night cream
it's
I
not
can use.
It's only a problem because of that false ego, because that ego is saying
Right.
this is a problem. This is me. No, it's not me. It's you just have to look and say
It's not
that
you.
face has like a drooping
It's just
eye.
a droopy eye. It's
Yeah.
got nothing to do with you. You are
It's
not
got
the
nothing to do
droopy
with
eye.
me. You know,
Yeah.
yeah. That's
I
the
know.
answer. It's not. I don't have to look at myself and say, "Oh,
I gotta
the
fix this
droopy
eye.
eye is beautiful."
I gotta
It's
stop
beautiful."
seeing myself as my
No.
face.
Yeah, it's just it's just no.
or
I'm
else
not
there's
that
nothing
droopy.
but sadness
Yeah, that's right.
as life goes
And it's just
on.
gonna get worse.
It's oh man, my mom's 97. You should see her face. I mean, she's
Yeah.
beautiful. I love her.
Okay,
But it's like she's at 97. It's like,
it's falling apart.
yeah. And when you look at a picture of her on her wedding day, it's like, oh my God, what happened to you? That's me. I'm looking at pictures of me when I was in youth today. I was like, look it. I was lean. I was fit. I didn't have, you know what I mean? It was like, what? Where did I go? And then we get into this illusion. I just got to work out harder. I got to preserve this thing. You can't. You can't preserve it.
Give it up.
Try. You can assist it to age gracefully.
Yeah.
But it's like it's falling apart. The machine is breaking down.
All right. That's it for today, Raghu. Mara?
Okay, that was depressing. Let's leave it on
Okay.
a high note, Mara. Bring us higher.
Okay, I got you some good takeaways. Give some time for Krishna and he will reciprocate.
Okay.
You take it all with you. You can't escape your talents or shortcomings.
True.
Can't escape your what?
Shortcomings or your talents.
Can't escape them.
Yeah.
Mm,
You'll like this one, Raghu.
tell me.
Transformation starts with one good choice.
Mm.
Transformation starts with one good choice. I like that. I'd mug that. I'd tattoo
Maybe that could be a postulate.
Oh,
We
man,
could
look at Mature
give it a
Nunda's
number.
screen. He made a Kaustubha. Can you please send that?
What, I got a
send me
droopy
that
eye? What did you do? A squirrel?
Kaustubha
Oh, I'm
put
riding
you
a
on
squirrel.
today.
I only had one total squirrel today.
That's not
My
fair.
other squirrels were on point,
It's the first time trap's ever been talked about in a Bhagavatam class.
but I tied it right in.
You did. You
Yeah.
did. Don't become a fine connoisseur of passion and ignorance.
No. An Epicurean, the passion and Rajas and Tamas.
Recreate the samskara.
We create the samskara.
Mhm.
The mind can adjust, change, and reprogram with positive habits.
Yes, it can.
Yeah.
Positive habits lead to positive desires.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Don't romance junk food.
Don't do it.
We're supposed to grow up and get over cotton candy and trap.
That's right.
And trap.
Sooner the better.
Yeah.
Don't see yourself as a droopy eye.
Nope.
No,
And-
you're not that droopy eye.
Thank you.
And your skin is your biggest mouth.
That was wrong. It's not your biggest mouth.
Oh my God, that was good. Thank you everybody for joining us. Fun show today. Fun show. You know, you need a little Bhagavatam, just a little Bhagavatam every morning, and it changes you. It really does. Thank God for the Bhagavatam. We do this every day. If you're new to this show, welcome. Join us. If you want to binge, sometimes I'll go, I'm not watching enough TV. I don't really watch TV, but sometimes I'll be like, I got to get it. Everybody's into a show. I got to get into a show. And I try it, and I'm like, what have I done?
What was the one again? Shantaram?
Well, Shantaram I wanted to watch because it had to do with India. But even still, it was like, eh. If you want to binge listen to something, binge listen to the Bhagavatam. Maybe not even Wisdom of the Sages. Maybe some other Bhagavatam class. You know what I mean? Just, I have to be responsible for what I'm putting in the machine that's going to create my future. And you don't even know where our future is. We might need this today. Hey. Oh, people, thank you for joining us live. You want to stay here live? You can do it. You can join Mara. You can get the secret codes to enter our secret society. The Zoomers and all the others out there, all it takes is one email to wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com to get your secret codes from Mara. Now, I want to say, if you're listening to this on Zoom today, you're to go to Apple Podcasts and write a review today. If you haven't done it, go to Apple Podcasts right now, write a 5-star review, tell us how you came to the show, how you're changed because of the Bhagavatam. I will read it, and I will post it. And if you're an other out there hearing this, you do the same thing. Let's get 100 more reviews today. Okay?
100.
And it starts with you.
Oh, hey, we got